Been watching the news lately? You see a lot of stuff that troubles you and wondering what's happening? Well, in this video, I'm going to tell you what's happening. What you're witnessing isn't the end of the American Republic. What you're witnessing are the death throes of the American elites, the Ameriweenies, the people who think through their educational experiences and their position in society that they know what's best for the world, they know what's best for the country, and they know what's best for you. They believe they know how you should live your life, how you should think, what you should buy and not buy, what you should eat and not eat. The election of 2016 was a watershed moment for the American elites. The election of Donald Trump indicated to them that they were losing control of the American population, political control. They couldn't, this outsider had come in. Nobody gave him a chance. Everybody thought his campaign was a joke. Not only did he secure the nomination, not only did he, defeat another Bush, but he went on to have a surprise defeat of Hillary Clinton. Remember the odds? Remember New York Times, Nate Silver, 91, 92, 97% chance that Donald Trump was going to lose. And he won. They didn't expect that. They didn't see that. They didn't feel that. They didn't see that coming because they lost their feel for the pulse of the American people, which is why Trump was winning. That's the whole point. And that's what they didn't understand. What was even worse, this wasn't confined to the United States. You look around the world, you'll see things similar going on in other places. To the north in Canada, you have Wexit. Over in Britain, you had Brexit. You had Yellow Vests in France. You had what was going on in Brazil. I talked about it in an earlier video, I'll link to below, about something happening in the Atlantic Basin, akin to what happened back in the late 18th century. So the elites, not just here, but around the world, felt that they were losing control. And they were. And they are. So they spent 3 years trying to destroy Trump and his administration, and they failed. So what are they doing now? They're doing what progressives always do. They never admit defeat. They never admit problems with any of their policies. They always double down. If you look at the history of progressives and their policies in this country, they never accept the fact that the policies have failed. If the policies have failed, it's only because they didn't spend enough money on it. We need to spend more money on education, on poverty programs, or whatever else it is. You never accept the possibility that maybe the programs or the policies make no sense. It's just you spend more. And if that doesn't work, then you attack the people. Well, the policies didn't work because the people are racist, inherently racist. They're bigoted. And they never see the hypocrisy of their positions. I mean, they talk about, racism of various forms in a city like Minneapolis that they've controlled for, almost a half century. Or in Atlanta that they've controlled for almost 200 years. I mean, they haven't even had a white mayor, let alone a Republican mayor in Atlanta since the 1970s. So there's all this racism in Atlanta. Who's at fault? Who are the racists? Who are the people who are responsible for all this structural, systemic, institutional, invisible racism, if not the Democrats? I mean, where in this country, if you assume and accept the probability that things are bad for black people in this country everywhere, where are they worst? In some sort of rural county in Montana, or in Detroit, or in Chicago, where 100 people get shot a weekend. After the George Floyd incident, a tragedy, a horror, a murder committed by a white cop against a black man, The Democrats had hand, and I'll post to a video, I've already talked about this before. And they could have played that hand to their own advantage, push for reform, police reforms, and things like that. But that's not what they decided to do. Instead of playing the hand they had been fed and playing it well and seeing what they could get out of it, they went all in politically. And that's what they've done. It's like the poker player who, doesn't know what to do, just goes all in. You put in all your chips, and it's win or lose at this point. You basically fake the other side to believe, bluff them that you've got this great hand. But if they don't get bluffed, you're going to lose, and you're going to lose everything. And that's where the Democrats, that's where the progressives find themselves today in this country. Instead of just seeing what they could get out of the reaction to the George Floyd murder, like I said, they went all in. They're using justifiable protests. They're using rioting, looting, and arson. They're using Antifa, and they're using BLM to try to destroy not just the Trump presidency, but the structure of this country, the Republican government. I don't mean Republican Party government, I mean small r Republican government. They want to do away with it. The university where technically I'm still employed, they want to sort of cut back on the First Amendment so they can achieve the things that they feel like they need to achieve on campus. They want to destroy the First Amendment. They want to destroy the Second Amendment. They want to destroy many of the amendments. They would like to get rid of the Electoral College. They're tearing down statues of the guy who wrote, for the most part, the Declaration of Independence. They want to destroy this republic. This isn't about Black Lives Matter. It's not about black lives. I mean, you can see that. If you don't get killed by a white cop, your black life matters a lot less. You see the little 3-year-old boy or 6-year-old girl in Atlanta and Chicago, they die. Nobody does anything. Do their lives not matter? Apparently not. It's not about black lives, it's about political power. And these groups are being used. Now these groups, Antifa and Black Lives Matter, in my opinion, believe they're using the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party thinks it's using them. Both are probably right to a great degree. But collectively, what they're trying to do is to destroy this country the way it's normally operated. The Democrats just don't want to win in 2020. They want to win in 2020 in a way where they'll never lose again. And that's going to be it. It's going to be end of story. You'll never get them out again. But the key is to understand that they're not operating really from a position of strength. It may seem like that. It may seem like they have all this momentum. What they're really operating from is a position of weakness, a position of despair in many ways. And as I said, they're in their death throes. Why do I say it's a sign of weakness? Because they're desperate. And imagine if they lose. Imagine if they still lose in 2020 after they did all this. Imagine how big they're going to lose. Imagine how, to the extent to which they've destroyed their legitimacy as a political party. I mean, they've come out against wealth. They've come out against security of property. They've come out against firearms. They've come out either openly supporting rioting, looting, and arson, or through their silence, not doing anything to stop it. You've had Democrat mayors who sit back and watch as parts of their city burn and get looted. They've watched as all this stuff happens. They've watched as all these people are getting shot. And what's their response? Defund the police? You really think that's what most Americans want? We know that they don't. We've seen the polls. Yeah, the poll says Biden's ahead of Trump. But then you see the other poll where people are, opposed 3-1 about defunding the police. Gun sales are through the roof. People are arming up in this country. Why are they arming up? Because they feel more secure or they feel less secure? Do you win elections by making hundreds of millions of people feel less secure? Are the people so stupid that they're going to believe that we're less secure somehow because of Donald Trump? Donald Trump is responsible for what's happening in the streets? I don't think so. And I've talked before in other videos about, the Bradley effect and how when you call everybody a racist who supports Donald Trump, they're not going to respond honestly to pollsters. So don't despair. Don't give up on Trump. Don't give up on the United States. Don't give up on the American Republic. Don't give up on our way of life. Stand fast. To the extent you can without exposing yourself too much, speak up. Speak out. Be honest. Stand up to these bullies. That's all you have to do. That's how we defeated the Ardennes offensive. Yeah, the Germans came through, but Americans stood up to them. They fought to the last round. They fought to the last man. They slowed the Germans down, and eventually the whole offensive collapsed, and along with it, Hitler's empire. That's what death throes are. It's like the cornered rat. It's a position of weakness. They're striking out because they're in a weak position. And if you would hold the line between now and November, the loss for them will be enormous. And it'll be consequential. And the Republic will be saved. And the elites will hopefully recognize that their day has passed. Because if they don't recognize it, then the only other solution would be to plunge this country into civil war, which I've also talked about and warned about. Anyway, if you got something out of this video, please leave a comment, give it a like, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification button so you know when I post new videos. And until the next time, I'm out of here.